What's up, family? Have you ever heard the phrase, the witch riding your back? I know that in the black community, this is very popular, especially as a story to scare kids. When I was younger, I couldn't have been more than 5. I heard my uncle telling a story about the witch riding his back. And my grandparents used to tell me that if you're bad or mean, then the witch will ride your back. So I later found out that this means sleep paralysis. But the story that my uncle told was one of struggle, and I didn't understand it from a five year old perspective. I literally pictured what I imagined a witch to be, which is just a black figure and a witch pointed hat with a long nose, on his straddling his back. Because the story he told was one of struggle. But at the time, I didn't understand what he meant by couldn't move. Well, when he said he couldn't move, he means that his body was paralyzed. But me trying to remember it now, I swear, like I pictured this whole fight scene of him throwing the witch up against the wall and, them like just going at it. Well, I have had what people call sleep paralysis and what the black community calls the witch riding your back. This has happened to me from youth all the way up till now, and it still happens. And what goes on during this time is you do see a black figure, or at least I do. I used to see a black figure standing in front of me, and it would get closer and closer to me, and my eyes would be open. I used to think I was dreaming until I realized that when I was in college, I had a roommate and she heard me trying to scream for help, but I was like, instead of saying, turn the light on, which is what I thought I was saying, I was trying to tell her to turn the light on. All she heard was, So I actually saw her turn the light on. I saw her roll over, look at me, and wonder what was going on with me. And then she got up and turned the light on. And then I was able to like snap out of it. That's when I realized that I wasn't dreaming all the way. Although you are in a different state, you are somewhat conscious. And as soon as she turned the light on, I was able to, come out of it. But what I realized is that there's another thing that happens once you learn how to navigate this state of being so-called paralyzed. If you, instead of panic, if you just relax and then breathe, you will astral project. And what happens on that side is completely opposite of what happens on the side of struggling and fighting against it. This is something that is extremely difficult to do because when you can't move, you naturally go into a state of panic and fear. So it's very difficult to bring yourself to a controlled, calm state. However, there are huge benefits if you can. And in fact, you can put on your astronaut gear because you're going to take off. If you just learn how to relax in that pressured state, you will not regret it. So, with that being said, I've been able to relax a few times, and but what happens most of the time is I end up struggling. And then I actually have my boyfriend. I gave him a code word that it's called. Well, it's 2 words. I tell him to tell me to let go. Let go is supposed, and I hear that. I'm able to hear that. I'm very conscious, and I hear that. And when I hear it, I actually either do one of 2 things. I either wake up or I take off. And for the last few times, I have been waking up and I really want to take off. But the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is magic mushrooms. So, I have given many of you an account of my trip on magic mushrooms, but there's so much more to it than what I was able to say. The reason mushrooms are like a choice of healing work or used as healing work is because there's nothing that compares to what it shows you, what it does to you. It has been given a bad name because I'm just going to be honest. If you've ever had mushrooms and you've had a bad trip, which people call a bad trip, but really it's you being introduced to your shadow, the part of yourself that you push down but that comes up and out subconsciously, part of yourself that you are unable to control. Mushrooms will show you this. It will put it right in your face so that you have no choice but to deal with it. But when you deal with something that you've been neglecting, it actually allows you to heal. And so that's what mushrooms do. They allow you to heal. They show you that there's healing in sounds and words. They show you that there's healing in pictures, in people, in nature, in breathing, in your own voice. They show you that there's healing in everything. They actually introduce you to the same songs, but like a different way of listening. And by songs, I mean sound creates everything. So you're a song, so they reintroduce you to yourself, but you see and feel and hear yourself in a different way. So there's just so much to gain from trying it at least once. And I just had to, say this because many of us have been taught to fear mushrooms. As a matter of fact, we've been taught to fear a lot of things we should not fear. And what I've learned through going through my spiritual journey is go towards the things that I have been taught to fear, because those are the things that wisen me up. Those are the things that I find are completely different from how I've been taught. Now, there are some things that I refuse to try, especially if I've seen people that have had negative physical results leading up to death on something, then, no thank you. But any type of ancient medicine that I know has been used to heal people, like ayahuasca or psilocybin or psilocin, whichever one you want to refer to. And there are tons more. Those things, you kind of want to explore if you have an opportunity to, because they're not what everybody say they are. Marijuana, the list goes on. But I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to ask you, have you ever had the witch riding your back or sleep paralysis? And also talk to you and ask you, have you ever had a mushroom experience? Leave your comments below. I really want to get some feedback on this because I want to start a conversation in our community that can open people's eyes to something that they may actually need. And not just magic mushrooms, but there are tons of different species of mushrooms that heal you. From lion's mane, they don't have to be what people call hallucinogenic. They can also be they can also just have very natural healing properties, like lion's mane and oyster, mushrooms. There's so many that we'll have to do a separate video on that alone. But anyway, thanks for listening. And as always, peace, beloveds.